What's up guys, JV2017 here, and I'm continuing with my coverage of the recent DLC announcement for Fallout 4. Bethesda announced their plans for the next 3 months in terms of bringing new content to the game, and I've left a link to the official announcement in the description if you are interested in that. I've already covered the first Automatron DLC pack coming in March a few days ago, so I wanted to move my attention towards the second pack coming called Wasteland Workshop. On the official announcement, Bethesda gave us the release date and price, so it's going to be $5 US or your regional equivalent for the standalone version of this game that's not with the Season Pass, or if you buy the Season Pass, this will be included, and the price for the Season Pass is $30 right now, but again, that price will increase to $50 on March 1st, which gives us another 9 days to, make that decision. So make sure and get that Season Pass if you're confident in the content, and you will get the Wasteland Workshop with that. As far as a release date, you can see all we have. It's just April 2016, and I think knowing the concrete release date for Automatron, which we don't have yet, should give us an idea on when this will come out. So Automatron's coming out in March of 2016. It's probably, if it's going to be near the middle of the month, I would think that they're going to space out, Workshop, this Wasteland Workshop, probably around the middle of the month. I could be wrong. They could release, Automatron at the end of March, and then this will come out early April or whatever it might be. But this is really all we have to go on. We really don't know exactly when this is going to release, but it will be in April. I wanted to take a brief look at this piece of concept art for the DLC to see if there's any extra info we could kind of find inside. There's not really much to speak of. The text along the top reads, "Build your own arena of death while redecorating your home." That's a really nice way to briefly describe, that's the general gist of what we're going to be doing in this DLC. Of course, we have pretty much a Vault Girl kind of character. Well, not really a Vault Girl, but, a Soul Survivor looking girl with a Pip-Boy and a giant wrench. That's a huge-ass wrench, let me say that. And also in the background, we kind of have some blueprints of what maybe a Deathclaw trap is going to look like, some figures, some workbench kind of things. I don't think there's really any concrete info we can take from this, but it is a cool piece of concept art. For the rest of the video, we're going to be looking at the only screenshot we have relating to this DLC, and we're going to look right now at the description that we have, which is also the only description we have. So with the Wasteland Workshop, design and set cages to capture live creatures, from raiders to Deathclaws. Tame them or have them face off in battle, even against your fellow settlers. The Wasteland Workshop also includes a suite of new design options for your settlements like Nixie tube lighting, letter kits, taxidermy, and more. So a large part of this DLC is going to be about capturing creatures, this new gameplay mechanic where we can go out and capture something and bring it back to our settlement. So we can see the giant cage on the screen that was holding the Deathclaw. Obviously, it's been unleashed, and that guy in the power armor doesn't look like he's going to have a good time. But looking at this cage, judging from what we can see, it looks like it's mostly made of steel. And I'd imagine that we have either a different blueprint for each creature or just a different, set of cage sizes. So you have like a small cage for, I don't know, mole rats or something, a larger cage for, like a medium cage for rad scorpions, and then a huge cage for Deathclaws. We don't know if it's going to be like that, or there's going to be a specific cage tailored for each creature, and even, like a human-sized one, because it did say we can capture raiders, which is pretty cool. So it says we can design cages, but I don't know how we can interpret that. You can interpret that in a lot of different ways. We're not sure if we can actually make the cages different for each different creature, make a cage that's higher quality, made out of steel, or a lower quality one made out of wood, or if there's actually different methods to capture creatures. There's a lot of different ways to look into this. We don't really know exactly how it's going to go down. We can speculate all day long, and I'd like to know how you guys think they're going to handle this as well in the comments below. In terms of what we can capture, the line that they used is from raiders to Deathclaws. So I would assume that we should be able to capture most things that we can come across in the Wasteland. I'd actually be disappointed if we can't, arbitrarily capture like a rad scorpion or something like that. It'd be really cool if we could capture actual characters like Elder Maxon and have them face off against like a Deathclaw, like Maxon versus Deathclaw. That would be really cool. We don't know if there's going to be limitations on that, but when I read from raiders to Deathclaws, I legitimately think, that's a huge range right there. That's raiders, which are human-based characters, to Deathclaws. I want to be able to capture super mutants, rad scorpions, like I already said, blood bugs, stingwings, all manner of these creatures. I want to go out and get them and trap them and bring them back to my settlement. Speaking of which, how the hell is that going to go down? If you capture a Deathclaw, how are you going to transport that back to the settlement? Maybe they just like teleport or something. They have some silly excuse for that. Maybe use a vertibird. That would seem a little extreme. I don't know how they're going to do that. That doesn't really matter that much, but I just thought of that. Moving on, it says we can tame them. So they use the phrase we can tame these creatures, and that just makes me think of Animal Friend, Wasteland Whisperer, Intimidation, you know, those 3 perks and the charisma tree that all kind of, you know, make sense and work together. Animal Friend is animals, Wasteland Whisperer is more like creatures like Deathclaws, Intimidation is human-based enemies. So does this mean we're going to have a separate taming system, a new gameplay mechanic that's going to, you know, we're going to have to actually tame these creatures? This kind of reminds me of World of Warcraft, which is a game I played when I was younger, where if you played the hunter character, you'd have to tame your pet in order to win them over and have them, you know, actually work for you. Can we tame Deathclaws and bring them around almost like companions? I think that's a little too much of a leap. It's easy to really read into, you know, taming. So I don't know if we're actually truly going to be able to tame these things and bring them around. I think they would have mentioned that, truthfully. So I don't think that's exactly what we're going to do. But we can have them face off in battle. So we can clearly see again on the screen, there's someone in power armor about to fight this Deathclaw, and again, doesn't look like they're going to have a fun time. But what's really cool about this is having them fight against each other. This is really like all of those series on YouTube where there's like 100 Brotherhood of Steel Paladins fighting 50 Deathclaws, and it's just this epic match with awesome camera angles. That's some really great content. I mentioned Tyrannicon on my brief overview video. That's a great YouTuber that does a really good job with those kind of videos. But this kind of content, this DLC gives us that experience, but on a much smaller scale. It doesn't seem like we're going to be able to set up those ridiculous scenarios. So it's nice to see that this experience comes to console players, you know, because we can't really orchestrate that with console commands like PC players can. So to kind of wrap up that thought, this is really like a Wasteland Fight Club. It is really going to be like that. We're going to be able to capture all these creatures, bring them back, pit them against whoever we want to, it seems, and see what happens. Observe it. Obviously, you can see that these settlers, it looks like, from the settlement have pretty much set up on couches and whatnot to watch these fights and kind of, you know, root for somebody. That's a really cool concept, and I can't wait to see actually how it plays out. The final part of the description talks about new items, new design options that we have in our, you know, Wasteland Workshop settlements, like lighting, lettering kits, and taxidermy, which if you didn't know already, taxidermy is stuffing dead things, dead creatures. So I assume we're going to be able to kill a Deathclaw and then stuff it. Maybe you trap a Deathclaw, bring it in, train it, and then it fights and it kills off like 30 settlers until finally one of them kills them. You can go ahead and stuff that Deathclaw, call it, you know, some really awesome name like Reginald. I don't know. That just came into my head. So we can basically stuff things, but there's a lot of other things that I'm going to be expecting. I mean, my observations in this screenshot are these trash cans that are on fire. I don't think those were there before. Correct me if I'm wrong. The lantern, I don't think we could create a lantern, but there was a lantern in Sanctuary and probably some other places that we could already move around. Some candles. There's the large kind of lamp thing, which is pretty much in the middle of the screen to the right of the Deathclaw. Well, left, but the Deathclaw is right. You know, is what I'm saying, that giant kind of lantern thing. And it almost looks like a stoplight, which is kind of above and to the left of the entire cage. That stoplight looking thing, it's yellow. I don't know what that is. That looks like a new kind of cosmetic item. The giant pole that's holding up the wires that's kind of in the middle of the screen as well, behind the settlers, you know, rooting for whoever. That looks like a new item. The podium that the power armor wielding character is on is definitely new. You know, it just looks like there's a lot of general new items. And of course, the lettering kit, the live Deathclaw fights. We're going to have a lot of different options for that, clearly, because we have all the letters and whatnot, and some exclamation points, maybe some, you know, question marks and other kind of different symbols and whatnot. So I'm really hoping and expecting we have a lot of new items. I mean, I hope it's at least 100 new unique items that we can place around our settlements. That would really be a solid number for me to feel like, yeah, I'm really confident in this DLC. I'm really getting my money's worth. Just some additional observations. I've seen so far that some people really don't like this piece of DLC. They think it's a quick kind of cash grab by Bethesda, but I think it does have potential to have a lot of bang for its buck. Like if we have a lot of unique items, if this taming, trapping system is pretty robust, you know, we're gonna have a lot to do. You know, we don't have enough info right now to really nail it down, but I know it's going to provide at least a few hours of entertainment for me in terms of hunting down these creatures, you know, trapping them and operating my own Wasteland Fight Club. That's kind of a fantasy that I have that I totally expect to play out when this DLC comes out in April. So I'd like to hear from you guys. Do you think this DLC will be worth the $5 standalone or worth, what its value is in the season pass? What are your expectations for this DLC, what you're actually going to be doing in terms of designing these traps, trapping these creatures, and all the building options, the new building options in the workshop? Let me know, share all of that below. Alright guys, today we took a closer look at the upcoming Wasteland Workshop DLC pack for Fallout 4. And next time we will cover more Fallout on my channel, so stay tuned for Fallout 4 tips and tricks videos. If you learned something new, remember to hit that like button, I would really appreciate it. And don't forget to subscribe for more DLC coverage, build guides, and general tips and tricks videos. Talk to you guys next time. Peace!